Go, try that.
Hillimericks, Part 2, written and read by Simon R Gladdish. Most Republicans loathe government. They believe money earned should be spent. Well, that's fine if you're rich. If you're poor, life's a bitch when your wages won't cover the rent. Home of the brave and land of the free, it's the Puritan ethic, you see. If people are poor, then we're pretty damn sure that they richly deserve so to be. Republicans flapping the flag makes politics rather a drag. Any hint of compassion makes neocons fashion you a pinko liberal commie fag. Forget the American dream and remember the Howard Dean scream. The economy's tanking, the Saudis are swanky, and the Chinese are stealing the cream. When the middle class don't have a dime and live on borrowed money and time, when each mortgage foreclosure causes loss of composure, then you know that the president's subprime. With investment at an all-time low, how can the economy grow? The future looks rainy and even Dick Cheney's thick portfolio is starting to slow. Now let us salute Condoleezza, as inscrutable as Mona Lisa. She's emerged from sorority with unquestioned authority, and grown men risk their lives when they tease her. Condi has things in common with Hill, I don't mean absent husbands like Bill. They're Scorpios for a start, secretive and apart, power crazed with a laser-like will. Condi's still in her 50s, they say, and might run for the White House one day. Although not president, she seems fairly content with her piano, her prayers, and her pay. Hillary is hard on the case should she tiptoe around issues like race and pretend it's not there like invisible air, like the air that caresses your face. Or should she go on the attack to make up the ground on Barack? In a contest she can't edge, Obama's advantage is genetic, his father was black. My favourite is probably John, whose chances now seem to have gone. I mean Edwards, of course, not McCain the warhorse. I'd crack open champagne if he won. Hillary started to gloat because Obama supporters can't vote. Husband Bill got quite cross when he argued the toss with a reporter attached to his coat. It's strange how some candidates face certain oblivion with grace. Felines in hell have a luckier smell than some of the guys in this race. American Fed Chief Bernanke likes solutions that others find cranky. It seems to me that he runs the US economy a little bit like Widow Twankey. Hillary dilatory doll, there's a man on the grassy knoll, raising his gun and firing at one of the most famous men in the world. Hillary scored in Nevada, making Obama's life even harder. Barack invoked Reagan, a slightly worse choice than Fagan, and the Latinos left Vegas with nada. Nevada also chose Mitt, who is now scoring hit after hit. His victory so easy, his rivals felt queasy, he had neither to break sweat nor spit. In her search for momentum and swing, did Hillary diss Luther King? It doesn't much matter when the Washington chatter is all about her wedding ring. In Nevada, they ran a Spanish ad saying Hillary was shameless and bad. A simultaneous translation said she'd hoodwinked the nation. When politics sinks this low, it's quite sad. It's lucky that he's not a whiner because Mike Huckabee's lost Carolina. His plan didn't work, now he looks like a Burke or a bull in a shop selling china. Senior Citizen McCain's won again. His popularity is hard to explain. He's a hero, of course, who survived several wars and has morphed into Citizen Kane. Hillary dilatory doll, there's a man on the grassy knoll. I think it's Obama, that effortless charmer, now hiding behind a Barack wall. They're all playing hardball politics, not to mention a few dirty tricks. Despite voters' distrust bordering on sheer disgust, they know that when mud's thrown, some sticks. Should African Americans back Hillary or brother Barack? Are they going to surrender their race or their gender to any signs of a tectonic crack? My wife thinks Mitt Romney is handsome. He's certainly worth a king's ransom. To me, he's patrician like a wealthy mortician who travels around in a hansom. Barack is becoming irate at Bill's influence on the debate. He said it was troubling how Bill has been doubling the truth on its back for his mate. Bill turned up his Igor Stravinsky whilst texting Nastasia Kinski. He emptied his cup, sighed and mouthed, "Hurry up if you don't want to sack Miss Lewinsky." I returned to senior citizen McCain, whose stump speeches are rather a pain. I respect and admire him, but can't someone fire him? He has the charisma of a public drain. To add to the Democrat drama, Oprah has come out for Obama, but Hillary's mates are now rattling her gates, branding her as a feminist harmer. American President Bush was formerly known as a lush. When push came to shove, he consulted Karl Rove. who advised him all opposition to crush. So American President Bush was not lacking when shove came to push. His plan of attack was to conquer Iraq and control all the oil that would gush. Saddam Hussein of Baghdad was regarded as evil and mad, but this brutal dictator, this sly alligator, gave George Bush the worst nightmares he'd had. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld was constantly having his bum felt by a handsome young aide dressed in leather and suede who smiled when he asked how his chum felt. A Brit minister known as Buffoon started a war on the moon. When asked to explain his reason again, said, "We had to invade before June." A woman named Sadie Street Porter was rubbing her hands at the slaughter. When we entered Iraq, she lay flat on her back, seized by loud, uncontrollable laughter. Prime Minister Anthony Blair developed a lunatic stare. It wouldn't have mattered except he looked shattered and was steadily losing his hair. Blair's moved on to far better things as peace envoy in the land of three kings. He's joined several banks, so the bombs and the tanks are a vague memory that seldom stings. I'm not sure what Toni Morrison meant when she called Bill a black president. The boss of Janet Reno has to be an albino as he's white as the chalk cliffs of Kent. O grave, where's thy victory, death thy sting, as we celebrate M. Luther King. Bill's in the choir, his heart is on fire as he lifts up his larynx to sing. Despite a hell of a search, young Chelsea's been left in the lurch, but she's a real charmer as Michelle Obama discovers on leaving the church. Hillary thinks she looks cute in an ill-fitting brown trouser suit. Well, I've news for you, Hill. You've a stainless steel will, but your sartorial sense is a hoot. Last night I watched the Democratic debate and could sense the implacable hate between Barrack and Hill. The amount of ill will is impossible to overstate. They all mentioned during the match that McCain was a man they could catch. It's simply fantastic. Their last geriatric went senile while still on his watch. I was surprised by John Edwards' passion for giving the poor their full ration, but he faces a slog as the underdog who still hasn't come into fashion. Last night I had a weird dream about Hill, which was certainly not run-of-the-mill. She was taking her time to explain the subprime mess to me with considerable skill. Ron Paul has still not gone away and raised $1 million yesterday. His campaign has been planned for, but what does he stand for? I just haven't a clue what to say. The Hollywood actor called Fred awoke after dreaming he led. He's got the spike because the writer's strike has left him mute, incoherent and red. I'm spot welded to CNN, the BBC and the News at 10. As I refresh my spritzer, the side of Wolf Blitzer makes me the most contented of men. Democratic candidates know that abortion's a hot potato. Republicans say a school shootout's the way to keep population rates low. Democratic candidates know not to tamper with Wade versus Roe, but Republicans say lots of guns are the way to keep population growth slow. Fred Thompson's decided to quit. He didn't prove much of a hit, with his legions of fans who jumped into their vans to vote for his nemesis, Mitt. Rudy's climbed out of his casket and put both his eggs in one basket. He's secretly worried a poor performance in Florida will persuade everybody he's bastard. If his blood pressure shoots any higher, Dick Cheney will probably retire. It's almost certain he'll leave Halliburton to count all his cash by the fire. Hostilities have broken out as Barrack and Hillary shout abuse at each other, older sister, younger brother. You're a bitch, Hill, and you're just a lout. It's time to lay cards on the table. Hillary should win if she's able. For the Republicans, if he sticks to his guns, Mitt Romney's the star of their stable. As for Medicare and Medicaid, I heard what the candidates said. I find it quite scary in the 21st century that doctors won't treat unless paid. I've begun to imagine that Rudy, magnificent, mean and quite moody, has started to worry that if he doesn't hurry, he might not live to see Super Tuesday. At a speech, I saw Bill nodding off until startled by somebody's cough. He cupped his left ear in an effort to hear after dreaming of Monica's muff. I've started to suffer the strain of being nasty to nice John McCain. He's no Karl Rove, but a decent old cove whom I wish a successful campaign. According to folks in the diner, Barack should win South Carolina. Hill will come second, so everyone reckoned with John on the slow boat to China. I performed a careful compilation of astrological information for the main candidates with their days and their dates, and Leo is the chief constellation. As the economy starts to unwind, Republicans find themselves in a bind. They repeat with a blush, you can't blame it on Bush, and besides, it is all in the mind. Though his personal rages and mush, I confess to a soft spot for Bush. Due to careful inbreeding, he suddenly found himself leading despite having the brains of a brush. There is a verse form called the Limerick which forces the poet 5 rhymes to pick. Don't think I'm complaining, they're quite entertaining, but after a while you get sick of it. When I started this nonsense, I wondered whether I'd ever manage 100. Well, I finished a ton and it's been quite good fun if occasionally I have blundered. This Limerick is probably my last. It is pointless regretting the past. In November we'll see who the winner will be, the reverberations of which will be vast. We've not heard much from Huckabee Finn or his stern moral sermons on sin. With a fan base so wide and God on his side, you would really expect him to win. My wife's growing obsession with Mitt is almost causing a marital split. When she says for a start he's rich, handsome and smart, it's a wonder she doesn't get hit. My favourite writers are Yanks. I've read Updike and Bellow with thanks. Their actors aren't bad. I've wasted a wad on the likes of Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. Their politicians are mixed and hover between and betwixt greatness and mediocrity, straightness and hypocrisy, always praying that problems get fixed. Digging as deep as a miner, Barack shook up South Carolina. He won with ease. Without putting a crease in his shirt, he gave Hillary a shiner. Trailing in last place was John, who now probably regrets having run. Well, he's still my first choice with his slow southern voice, and if I'd been his coach, he'd have won. I mustn't exclude ex-Mayor Rudy, who used to be considered a shrewdy. A Machiavellian man, his complex, cunning plan has left him looking broken and broody. Charlie Crist has endorsed McCain. I hope I don't have to say it again. He's a very nice man with a plausible plan, but voting for him is insane. He says aging is all in the head. It'll be a long time till he's dead. He's as tough as they come, like his 95-year-old mum. Perhaps we should elect her instead. McCain might not be a Confederate, but Andrew Sullivan claims he's a moderate. With his global fame and aluminum frame, we await the unfolding of fate. Some people say Mitt is a phony and a bit like Prime Minister Tony. My wife doesn't think that. She thinks he's a cool cat who is winning this race on a pony. Tonight is the State of the Union. If I'm not too knackered, I'll tune in, though I'm in no great rush to hear George W. Bush, since he has the inside of an onion. I stayed up for the State of the Union, though I'd been happier at Holy Communion. George W. Bush utters absolute tosh. I've heard more sense from a drunken Mancunian. I confess to posting that limerick before I'd had the chance to hear Bush Baby Bore. I thought he did pretty well to ignore the rank smell of the bodies washed up on his shore. Barrett's latest, arguably greatest trick has left Hillary feeling quite sick. He's been given fresh energy by Caroline and Ted Kennedy, the senator from Chappaquiddick. As she smiles for the cameras so cheesily, Hill views Obama's surge queasily. Miss Kopechne is dead thanks to Senator Ted. Would Bill have let her go so easily? I have to return to Mitt Romney, whom I suspect of being a commie. He's a sly little runt who's put up quite a good front, but has managed to hide nothing from me. As doomsday is looming for Rudy, his position has become rather ludicrous. A dreadful migraine and disastrous campaign have made him look like an unemployed hoodie. As I stare at the night sky, the plough asks me, what are you going to write now? I haven't a clue what on earth I should do since my inspiration is low. Rudy's dropped out of the race. His campaign was an utter disgrace. I don't think we should worry or feel especially sorry. He's got a pretty new wife to embrace. I believe I can predict this campaign, famous last words. The Republicans will choose John McCain. The Democrats will be headed by Hillary and may the best man the victory gain. I've just heard that my candidate John has decided to not carry on. I'm beset by the blues. This is terrible news. What on earth will I do when he's gone? A man with a mind fine as Hillary has abandoned his fan base to Hillary, or Barrett, whichever, can box the more clever and harness the Democrats' artillery. I shall miss his soft southern drawl and the way he calls people y'all. The only non-celebrity I'll sorely miss is integrity when America votes in the fall. Who will the president be? The stars whisper Hillary. It's always uncertain to twitch at the curtain of fate, though opinion is free. Sages state the prediction is free, so who will the president be? It's always uncertain to clutch at the curtain that conceals Bill and Hillary. So who will the president be? It's blindingly clear to me that it won't be Barack, Mitt, Mike or Max, so it has to be Hillary. So who will the president be? It won't be Mike Huckabee or Rudy or Ron, Giuliani or John, so it has to be Hillary. So who will the president be when we take on November tea? George, John Paul or Ringo won't be the ones to call bingo, so it has to be Hillary. I took a look at the latest debate and thought Barack had a lot on his plate. His arguments were soggy, he appeared pretty groggy and generally exceeded a state. Hillary was confident supreme like a cat that has stolen the cream. Her mind moves like lightning. This woman is frightening and she's only one half of the team. It's no surprise Mitt's getting rather miffed that a man the same age as his father is winning this race at a leisurely pace when he's worked himself into a lather. Next week we await Super Tuesday. That won't be the same without Rudy. After maximum hesitation and minimum participation, it'll be more of a singing the blues day. So now it's goodbye Super Tuesday and arrivederci Sir Rudy. The full moon is silvery, welcoming John or Hillary on this make or break, win or lose day. The initials GOP stand for Grand Old Party, and MH is a reference to Mike Huckabee. BC, of course, is Hinton at a time before Clinton, and MR means that Mitt is smart RC. DIVORC means divorce, and OC is short for of course. The letters HRC represent Hillary, and BS is a code for brown sauce. They say the environment will be a big issue for the next president. What about all the oil sucked up to the soil, and where's all the money been spent? Will we be fasting for Lent, and why are some senators bent? What about all the oil siphoned up from the soil, and why isn't there any in Kent? Has the clean green message been sent, and will the new administration relent? What about that black oil bubbling up through the soil? I wonder where on earth it all went. Andrew Sullivan's backing Obama, the senator who looks like a llama. As Republicans close rank round McCain with no thanks, we can only be good for their karma. We've still Hillary, Mitt, John and Barack, a woman, a mob and a geriatric and black. This election is blazing a trail that's amazing. All we need now is Batman to make up the pack. Hillary is looking over her shoulder at Barack, the oncoming boulder. As she heads down the mountain and dives into the fountain, she finds the water has grown slightly colder. Obama is gathering speed, but Hillary clings on to her lead. As he bathes his feet at a virtual dead heat, her victory no longer guaranteed. As Barack is beginning to close, Hillary is massaging her toes. This race is tight. It's a wonderful sight to see somebody lose by a nose. In the distance, Hillary was a speck, but Obama is now neck and neck. All this infighting is becoming exciting. No wonder they both look a wreck. They say the winner takes it all, the loser is left standing small. It's not my job to jabber about the lyrics of ABBA or opine on the odds of Ron Paul. At the risk of repeating myself and the history book on the shelf, this story ain't quoted till everyone's voted, and that includes independents like Ralph. As he sniffs at the scent on his sleeve, Mitt says, "Look, Mike, I think you should leave. For some little while you've been cramping my style as I psych up for one final heave." But Mike's obstinate as a mule and replies, "Mitt, don't take me for a fool. I genuinely believe you're the one who should leave. Go on now, get out of the pool." I confess to feeling slightly shifty as I finish 150. As the total's been mounting, I've not really been counting, but 90% is quite nifty. Barack has now won more states, though somehow Hill has got more delegates. With their pants on fire, this will go to the wire as the whole of America waits. And Coulter says McCain is a pill, so she might be voting for Hill. What a change of tack from a right-wing hack whose usual cry is "Kill Bill." On Super Tuesday, the weather was raw and seemed more like the outbreak of war. The most sinister omen was not the smashing of snowmen, but the destruction of Clinton, Arkansas. McCain, Huckabee, and Romney represent war, God, and money. With Hill and Barack, the token woman in black, isn't democracy funny? Hillary's begun to look worried. She thought that Barack would be hurried into making mistakes, handing her all the breaks, but the upstart just will not be buried. With Oprah bankrolling Barack, Hill's on the financial rack. She's just pumped $5 million into her own coffers with no prospect of getting it back. Will Hillary be able to renew the lease on Pennsylvania Avenue? 8 years with her spouse inside the White House had made her fall in love with the view. We've entered the year of the rat when the plans of mice and men can fall flat. Will it be Hill or Barack, Mitt, Mike or Matt? What wouldn't we give to know that? Hillary C. with a howl has finally thrown in the towel, leaving Barack to spearhead the attack and eclipse his old friend Colin Powell. Obama has come out of hiding to announce he's chosen Joe Biden as his running mate. Aging youth on the slate should prevent his opinion polls sliding. But the Democrats soon started wailing when John McCain chose Sarah Palin. Obama stopped grinning as legions of women made a Republican triumph plain sailing. Poor Hillary has been feeling the blues since someone stepped into her shoes. The height she was scaling now supports Sarah Palin, so the height she Well, Hillary's been feeling the blues that someone stepped into her shoes. The height she was scaling now supports Sarah Palin, so beware any innocent moose. It's difficult to know when to stop. I've laid out the cream of the crop. I can't keep on going. My inspiration's flowing, and I don't want to start scribbling slop. This limerick is probably my last. There's no point lamenting the past. In November we'll see who the winner will be, the reverberations of which will be vast. Postscript. When Hillary started to crash, the feminists lost all their cash and they're bouncing the checks of the right-wing rednecks now surviving on burgers and mash. Regardless of colour of skins, the taller man usually wins. John McCain is a dwarf, so we had a good laugh as we piled his pamphlets in our bins. Sarah Palin's reign was quite brief. She never sang Hail to the Chief, but she'll get her chance to pull faces and dance to the pages history is yet to leave. Congratulations are in order, Barack, for deflecting Republican flag. Some questioned your running, but your victory was stunning, and the White House now boasts its first black. Rumsfeld and Cheney and Bush have finally been given the push. We raise up our voices, and the whole world rejoices as Obama depresses the flush. The American people have spoken and have said our society is broken, so let's not embargo this savior from Chicago, and let us hope that he's more than a token. Hillary left it too late to beat young Barack to the plate, but he's a generous sort, so he thought that he ought to appoint her Secretary of State. Obama is going to need all of his skills as sheer greed. On Wall Street's returning, the economy's burning amid warnings the bankers won't heed. Hillary dilatory doll, the mouse drove up the mall. New York was thrilled, the mouse got killed. Hillary dilatory doll. Copyright Simon R Gladdish, 2000.